Some say that you're the composite of the 5 people with whom you spend the most time. Now, I don't know if that's true, but employing or contracting with the wrong person, someone excluded from participation in Medicare and Medicaid, can lead to drastic penalties, as one physician recently found out. As reported by the U.S. Department of Justice, in late February 2022, Alan Siegel, a physician, a psychiatrist, and his Hamden, Connecticut practice, Geriatric and Adult Psychiatry LLC, GAP, entered into a civil settlement agreement with both the U.S. government and the state of Connecticut as the result of employing an excluded individual. The civil settlement cost the physician and his practice $310,874. Originally enacted in 1977 as a part of the Medicare-Medicaid Fraud and Abuse Amendments in the form of mandated exclusions, and subsequently expanded over the ensuing decades to include permissive exclusions, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office of Inspector General, the OIG, wields authority to exclude physicians and other individuals convicted of Medicare and Medicaid program-related crimes, as well as others who submit fraudulent or false or other types of improper claims, from participation in federal healthcare programs. In addition, the effect of an OIG exclusion is that no federal healthcare program payment may be made for any item or service furnished by an excluded person, or at the medical direction or on the prescription of an excluded person. This is the case even if the excluded person's services are not separately billed. Submitting any such claim is a false claim. Extremely important for physician groups, the prohibition applies even if the payment is made to a person who is not excluded. In other words, a payment to a medical group that is used in whole or in part to pay for the services of an excluded individual makes the underlying claim or claims a false claim, even if that individual services are not separately billed and even if they are purely administrative in nature. In the civil case settled by Dr. Siegel and GAP, the government alleged that Siegel and GAP improperly employed Eric Ressner, a physician who was convicted of conspiracy to commit healthcare fraud and excluded from all federal healthcare programs. Apparently, Dr. Siegel hired Ressner as GAP's clinical director. During the time of Ressner's employment, GAP and Siegel submitted claims to federal healthcare programs, and as alleged, a portion of the reimbursement that they received was used to pay Ressner's salary and benefits. As always, remember that allegations were settled. They were civil allegations. They're not criminal. They were never criminal. And a settlement means there was no determination of liability by a court. Lest there be any confusion, the scope of the prohibition applies very broadly. In addition to prohibiting an excluded individual from serving in an executive or leadership role, for example, as a chief executive officer, a chief financial officer, a general counsel, a director of health information management, a director of human resources, a physician practice manager, and so on, at a provider that furnishes items or services payable by federal healthcare programs, it also prohibits an excluded individual from providing other types of administrative and management services, such as health information technology services and support, strategic planning, billing and accounting, staff training, and human resources, unless wholly unrelated to federal healthcare programs. Note that liability attaches to employing or contracting with such a person, and it applies whether the entity submitting claims to federal healthcare programs knows or should know of the exclusion. Translation: if you would check the exclusion database, you would know. The bottom line is that you must carefully vet every single one of your potential employees and contractors against the OIG exclusion database. Preserve the record of your check. Recheck periodically to make certain that a clean hire might no longer be so clean.